Welcome back to another Columbus, Ohio real estate monthly market update. I'm Ryan Deeter with Key Realty, and today we're going to dive into the April numbers. But what I want to focus on actually, because we're actually sitting here early June as I record this video, I'm a little behind. We're still a few weeks away from getting the May numbers, but we're into June already. So I want to focus on what's going to happen in the next few months and what I'm seeing already happening in the market. There's a little bit of a shift. So if you're really interested in buying or selling, this is good information you're going to want to know to kind of figure out what's going on. I think right now may be an opportunity for those buyers that if you've been thinking about buying or put your buying on the sidelines right now, maybe the best opportunity you've had in the last few months. So stay tuned as we dive into why I think that is. All right, so I've got the April numbers pulled up. Again, this is always pulled from the Columbus Board of Realtors that they produce, the data they produce for us. And this is actually open to the public. You're welcome to go to the Columbus Realtors page and find this data for yourself. But it's always helpful just to kind of go through the numbers real quick. And I don't want to dwell on the numbers today as much as I normally do. If you want to go back and see where we've come from, please go back and look at the previous videos. But anyways, I want to kind of just point out that we are, this is April 23. My apologies. No, April 24. There we are. April 24. Here we go. So we can actually see we're actually selling a little bit more houses this year than we did last year. But still, 13% over, last year when we were down 21% is still, we're still in a listing shortage. We still don't have enough homes to sell per the amount of buyers we have, meaning that it's still a seller's market. So just because that's up by 13, it seems like a bigger number. We need that up by like 200% for it to kind of balance out is my kind of just guess on that one. But anyway, so that just kind of shows, we are selling a little bit more houses, which, as buyers, that's a good thing. If you're looking to buy, there's a little bit more buyers out of the market for you. But as Columbus continues to grow and more people are looking to buy, that still means it's a competitive market. Again, average price is up. Not surprised there. We've seen what's going on. Average price 5%, median price 5%, which means we're a pretty healthy 5%, 5.5% essentially across the board. Again, I like to look at both of those numbers holistically, and as well as the average price per square foot, which is a little bit lower. So, maybe say 5% as a total when you're thinking about, where the growth of Columbus is at as a whole. Again, this is for the snapshot of the whole region of Columbus. So you got to think, each area is going to be a little different and there's a lot of nuance to each area. But as a whole, that's where we see Columbus at right now. So just kind of some other numbers to kind of that I like to focus on is just kind of how competitive the market is. We are seeing days on market tick up, a fair amount, a couple of days, 4 days essentially, which ends up being 16%, which seems like the 16% seems like a lot when you look at 4 days. Not that much. So we're seeing a little bit less competitive market than we did last year, apparently, compared to last April. And new listings are up. Not surprised there, as we're seeing more buyers as well, which means inventory, with new listings, inventory is also up, almost, just under 50%, 44% there, which is, again, it's a big percentage, but not a huge jump in inventory. And then what I see, we're not seeing 44% closed sales. We're seeing 44% new, inventory, which means there's a lot of houses that aren't selling. People are probably trying to get, an exorbitant amount of money for it and then taking it off the market for a reason, or there's just houses sitting that aren't selling as well. So that's just a correlation there. So hopefully that's helpful. That's kind of where we are. I want to look at last year, a little bit reflecting back. You can see we had less, kind of a little bit more modest growth. But we're ahead of the growth of last year. And here's the reality, that 5% doesn't seem like a ton, but when we jump so far in the last few years, 5%'s, a lot more significant than it was 10 years ago, because this number and this number are up already. So 5% of 300 is a lot higher than 5% of, 150, which is where we were just 10 years ago. So that's the reality of Columbus market. When you hit that 350 price point on average, or 300 on average, that 5% is a lot higher, and it's a lot of money. It can be a fair amount of money per year someone can accumulate with just 5% appreciation. So just something to dwell on there, and we're kind of where we are in the market and where Columbus market is. We've kind of arrived at those markets where, appreciation is a big deal in this city when you have a house in the average price point, and especially above the average price point. And so But as I mentioned in the intro, I want to focus on where I think the market's going because here I always like this map or this chart here to kind of help people understand the market of Columbus. This is one of my favorite things to dwell on, as if you watch my past videos, I think I touch on this almost in every video. But I want to talk about we're in that inflection point right now. So this is we're in April. Unfortunately, I'm recording this video at the time where we're a couple weeks from a week or so when we got this data. We're still a couple weeks from getting May's data. But we can kind of predict, as we've seen in the past, the past, 10 years now of the Columbus market. And it's getting more extreme, and we're seeing this every time. So right around Memorial Day, we start to see the shift. We start to see, okay, things cool down. We're seeing right now in April, April was one of the craziest months. I saw stuff, 2021 kind of stuff. So when I think May's numbers are going to come out, we're going to see some drastic jumps in these numbers in the average price and price per square foot. I predict we're going to see a pretty good jump in this line where it's going to kind of jump up compared to last year quite a bit. But what I'm seeing is that the May and April competitiveness. I have a whole video on why those months are the most competitive months in Columbus. If you want to watch that, why we see most of all of our, not most, basically all of our appreciation happen from really from January to June. Why that's the case, please watch my previous video. But we've seen all that come just like we've seen in the past, and we're seeing offers that I haven't seen stuff since 21 where we have 30 offers on a house and crazy offers, appraisal gaps, people foregoing inspections, all that kind of stuff happening these last few months. And I'm recording this about a week after Memorial Day or late, Memorial Day, and I'm seeing some things cool off. I'm seeing those kind of crazy offers and or the amount of crazy offers per house slow way down. So, if you've been looking for a house and you've been making those offers and you've been kind of just, disappointed or, just kind of frustrated with what you have to do to get a house, and you kind of put it in the back burner because it's so frustrating right now. This may be the time to say, okay, well, maybe there's a little bit of a gap here. We can get something in, we can make something happen, and not have to make such a crazy offer. I mean, it's still a seller's market, so don't think that you're going to get something for $100,000 under list price and not have to make a competitive offer, but just not as competitive. You're not going to have 20 offers you're competing with all of a sudden. You may have one or two, or you may be the only offer in the first weekend, but knowing that you still have to come in close to list price because that's the seller's expectations. And all of a sudden, if the sellers don't get list price that first weekend, other buyers are going to say, well, maybe now I can come in and negotiate as well. And then we see the competition happen still as well. So keep that in mind. And I want to show you what happened last year. We can see it pretty clearly. This is June of 23. And I show you June because if you're looking to buy, this is, we're into June right now. And if you're looking to buy, it's going to be June. This is what, the numbers we're doing basically. And these are the people that got in contract essentially in May. So this is May, you get in contract in May, then you close in June. That's when you become the statistic. And these numbers are calculated. So you can see here, we still saw quite a bit of growth. This chart here, we're seeing that kind of that growth still happen, but starting to taper off on this line. And then we jump, I want to show you, where the average price is, 370, 322 and the median price. And we jump to July because this is if you get in contract today, you're going to most likely close in July. And you can see that actually these numbers came down, compared to June. So it came down 10 grand on the average price and about 5 grand on the median price. Average price per square foot, what happened there? 201 on average price per square foot and 197 on average price per square foot in July. So that also came down. All three of these numbers came down month over month when it comes to June to July. And you can see that line showing that. And so what happened in June, it flatlined or, almost flatlined and then came down in July. So this is, keep in mind, these are people that are getting in contract in June. So if you're looking to buy a house, this is the reality is that competition, the reason these numbers actually come down and not up is because competition goes away. You don't have 10 offers per house. And so you don't have to compete. You don't have to make an escalation clause to where you're paying $50,000 over the next highest offer because there may not be a next highest offer. You may be the only one making an offer, or the two offers may come in low. So that's the reality that happens in June. And there's this little disconnect often that happens with sellers and buyers in June because the sellers think that this number. So a lot of sellers think that this line is just going to kind of continue to go up. This line's going to continue to go up forever and always. Like this line is going to continue. Like if you're watching what happens in the last few months, you're thinking, well, if it goes up 5% month over month, all of a sudden now I'm like, well, heck, my house is going to be another, $30,000 in the house that sold last month. And eventually the buyers say, time out, like we can't keep going like this. And I'm not going to keep going like this. And, or the buyers that are making those offers have won and they've got a house and they're no longer on the market, or they've had to go to plan B and get a rental for whatever reason. So a lot of the desperate buyers, people making those crazy, crazy offers that people can't believe, are either in a house or have gone to plan B because they had to. And so what we're left with in the summer to late summer to fall and winter are the buyers that are looking for the right house at the right price. They're not desperate. They may have a house or may have a rental where they're month to month, and they're like, well, it doesn't make sense for me to pay, $100,000 more than I want to, or $50,000 more than I want to, or have to make an appraisal gap with, a $30,000 appraisal gap and, potentially lose, $15,000 to $20,000. I'll stay renting or I'll stay in my house. And then all of a sudden, these, those buyers, those buyers kind of put their thing on, on pause as well. So we lose a lot of the competition in the summer. And plus, people just want to enjoy their summer. They may have been looking for houses, the last few months. Every week they go out and look at a house, and then summer hits, and it's like, well, I want to go on vacation, I want to go play. And so you just get busier doing stuff on weekends and evenings, more so than you do in the school year, in the spring and fall. So with that said, there's a lot of, we have again, I had that whole video on why that happens, but we're seeing that right now. We're in that moment of things are slowing down and cooling off. And if you've been looking and kind of disappointed and frustrated with the market, now may be the time to start, your search back up and start thinking about maybe looking at a house again. So I want to just point that out, as we're starting to see things come down. Obviously, the longer you can wait, the more likely you are to get things, for less money, all that stuff. But I do tend to tell my residential buyers to say, hey, don't try to time it up too much with the market. But at the same time, if the right house comes up at the right price and you can get in there, then that's the time to move. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully this helps you with your journey if you're looking to buy or sell. So the flip side, if you're looking to sell your house, you can still get top dollar for your house. You just want to be careful of not pricing your house way up here and pricing your house on what happened in April. Like if you're looking to list your house in July, you want to look more like April, not necessarily June. And you want to make sure that hey, because these buyers sometimes in their head think they have to pay over asking price, so they get the list price thinking that, well, they may add another 20, 30, $50,000 onto the list price, thinking that that's what you have to do to get the house. And so you got to be careful not to overprice your house in the summer and the fall by too much, because then, you just scare buyers off. And then all of a sudden you become, well, why is no one else buying this house? Why, if no one jumps on it right away, people think, well, there must be something wrong with it. All of a sudden you kind of lose that momentum you have by being, new and fresh, on the market. So hopefully that's helpful if you're looking to list as well. You can still get top dollar. It's a little bit more nuance. There's a lot of nuance to it, and making sure that you're understanding the buyers' thoughts and the psychology that buyers have when they think about the pricing and stuff like that. Because you got to think a list price is never. We're not saying the value of a house by listing the list price, and buyers got to understand this too. Is that the list price is just a marketing tool to get the most people in the house, to get the best offer for the house. So understanding what that price is really depends on the timing of the market, whether you're looking to buy or sell. So hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, of course, you're always able to reach out to me. Feel free to touch base, give me a call, and I'll be happy to talk to you about your individual situation if you have individual questions or just want to talk about the market as a whole. Hope you have a great day.